Hey friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Erin and I am so excited that you decided to take time out of your day to spend with me because today we are in another day of Bookmas, and today I want to discuss my 2025 priority TBR, right? So last year I attempted to do the 24 in 2024 and was mostly successful. There were a few scragglers that will probably not make it just from me knowing how many I have left at this point in December. But yeah, I would like to do a priority TBR, and I didn't do 25, but I think I got pretty close, maybe one or two off of 25. I just felt like 25 was such a big number. So I just literally went through and picked the books that I know for sure I want to read in 2025. And I came up with 20 something. Okay, so let's do our 20 something in 2025. And yeah, I'm really excited about some of these books. We have a mixture of new releases, some backlist books that I want to get to, some books that have been on my TBR for far too long. And if I don't read them this year, they need to be on hold at this point. And yeah, I think that's pretty much the vibe that I went with. So there'll be plenty of yapping in this video about books. So grab a snack, grab a drink, and let's just hop right into it. All right, so I am just gonna go ahead and get this one out of the way because it won't be a surprise to anybody if you've seen any of my videos. And that is Cursebound by Saara El-Arifi. This is the sequel to Faybound, which y'all know is my baby. I love Faybound so much. So of course, the sequel had to make its way onto this list. And in Faybound, we're following Yrinn, who is a warrior who ends up getting exiled from the Elven lands, and her sister Yletto was like, I'm not letting my sister get exiled and go out on her own. So she decides to leave with Yrinn, and they both stumble upon the Fae and the Fae lands, which they didn't even know really existed. And so they're thrust into this world, and they're questioning everything that they're taught, everything that they've ever learned. And if we have a couple romances, we have a sapphic romance, we have all the things that make up a really good fantasy romance. So yes, Cursebound will definitely be read in 2025. Next up, we have a book that has been on my TBR for far too long. I received an ARC of this book. It came out in, I think, December of 2023. I received an ARC. I even bought a physical copy, and I still haven't read this book, and it is a year later. Probably over a year at this point. So, if I don't read this book this year, I think she's just going to have to go ahead and go, because what are we doing? What are we doing? And that is Yours for the Taking. And this is by Gabrielle Korn. And this is a sapphic sci-fi book where the year's 2050 and we're following Ava and her girlfriend and what's left of Brooklyn. So basically, the effects of climate change has changed the world and it won't be safe to be outside. And so basically, the only people guaranteed survival are the ones whose applications are accepted to the Inside Project, which is a series of weather safe, city sized structures around the world. So we are following Ava, who has been accepted to live inside, but her girlfriend hasn't. So they are having to work through that. And we're also following Shelby, who is a business major from a working class, who lands her dream job as a personal assistant and is swept into this glamorous world of corporatized feminism and learns that everything is not as it seems. And then also Jacqueline, who is a reclusive billionaire and women's rights advocate who, thanks to a generous donation, has just become the director of the Inside that is being built in Manhattan. So this is going to be a very interesting story of these three women and how they will move through this world that has been affected by climate change. Next up is So Let Them Burn by Camilla Cole, and this is a YA fantasy that I think is also sapphic. if I'm not mistaken. And in this, we are following Farron Vincent, who can channel the power of the gods. And 5 years ago, she used her magic to liberate her island from its enemies, the dragon riding Langlish Empire. But now at 17, she is all powered up with no wars to fight. She's a legend to her people and a nuisance to her neighbors. She's forced to attend an international peace summit where she expects that she will perform tricks like a trained pet and then go home, but she doesn't expect her older sister to be forming an unprecedented bond with an enemy dragon, or the gods claiming that the only way to break this bond is to kill her sister. So Farron's desperation to find another solution takes her down a dark path, and her sister discovers shocking secrets at the heart of the English Empire, and each must make difficult choices that will shape each other's lives as well as the fate of the world. So we got dragons, we got sister relationships, all the good things, right? I need to pick this up this year. The sequel is coming out in 2025, so I need to be caught up for when the sequel comes out. Next on my 2025 TBR is The Stars Undying, and this is by Emery Robin, and this is a queer sci-fi where we are following Alter Gracia, the princess with the silver tongue who has lost everything. After a bloody civil war, her twin sister has claimed the crown of their planet, and the pearl of its prophecy is a computer that contains the immortal soul of a god. So, when the interstellar empire of Sayao turns its conquering eye toward her home, Gracia gambles on an alliance with its powerful commander, Matthias. First of all, I am struggling with all these names, so forgive me, but let's keep going. But winning over Matthias, to say nothing of his mercurial captain Anita, proves dangerous. Gracia finds herself torn between Matthias's ambitions, Anita's unpredictable desires, and the demands of the god who whispers in her ear. For her planet's sake and her own, she must become a queen as history has never seen before, even if it means breaking an empire. Really interested in this. She is kind of thick, but I think it'll be really fun and really good. I've heard nothing but good things, so I really want to give it a try in 2025. Next, we have Gifted and Talented by Olivie Blake. Y'all know I love me some Olivie Blake, so of course I'm going to pick up her newest release. And in this one, we are following the story of three siblings who, upon the death of their father, are forced to reckon with their long festering rivalries, dangerous abilities, and the crushing weight of all of their unrealized adolescent potential. I'm really interested to see what Olivie Blake does with this. I know she is very scientific in her fantasies, and I actually really love that. So yeah, I'm ready to see what she does with these three siblings and who will inherit their tech company that their father is leaving to them. So yeah. Next up, we have a book that has been on my TBR for a while, and I need to finally get to it, and that is Fit for the Gods, which is Greek mythology reimagined. It is an anthology edited by Jenn Northington and S. Zainab Williams. So in this, we have authors like Marika Bailey, Alyssa Cole, Zoraida Cordova, Sarah Gailey, and many more. So this says, from the enchanting and eternally popular world of Greek myth, an anthology of gender-bent, queered, race-bent, and exclusive retellings. So I think this is going to be really awesome. I have liked learning about Greek mythology growing up, but it's very one note in a lot of ways, and I want to expose myself to different types of mythologies from different countries, but also I think seeing it reimagined in all these different ways is going to be really cool. So yeah, I think this will be a really fun thing to dive into and just see what these authors have dreamt up. Next, we have a sci-fi, and that is Do You Dream of Terra-Two by Temi O. And this says, a century ago, an astronomer discovered an Earth-like planet orbiting a nearby star. She predicted that one day humans would travel there to build a utopia. Today, 10 astronauts are leaving everything behind to find it. 4 are veterans of the 20th century space race, and 6 are teenagers who've trained for this mission most of their lives. It will take the team 23 years to reach Terra-Two. 23 years locked in close quarters, 23 years with no one to rely on but one another, 23 years with no rescue possible should something go wrong, and something always goes wrong. So, this sounds like it would be really cool. It's giving me the 100 vibes, which is one of my favorite shows ever. Next up, we have one that is probably on everybody's list. Everybody's talking about it, and it's just going to be everywhere. But I refuse to be left out because I have also been waiting for this story for years. Okay, so that is Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. And in this Hunger Games novel, we will be following Haymitch's story and seeing what happens with the 50th annual Hunger Games, which was the quarter quail, where I think there were double the amount of tributes. So yeah, I'm really interested to hear Haymitch's story. He is one of the characters that grew on me throughout the series. So yeah, I'm ready to see what this is about. Next, we have Sweet Heat by Bolu Babalola, and the way I am running to read this as soon as it comes out, like it's not even funny. So this is a follow-up to Honey and Spice, because we are following Kiki and Kai after they have had this epic breakup, and one of their friends from college is getting married, and Kiki is the maid of honor and Kai is the best man in this wedding. So they are being forced back together, and I have been having a very awful time with second chance romances lately, but this one right here, I think this one's going to work for me, because if there's anybody that I want to be together, it's Kiki and Kai. Okay, so yeah, so excited about this one. Next up, we have Mistress of Lies, and this is by K.M. Enright. And this is a fairly new fantasy romance where we're following a villainous heroine who finds herself plunged into a seductive world of power, politics, and murder in the court of the Vampire King. And I also think that this is polyamorous as well. And so, yeah, this one just sounded really interesting, and I really wanted to get to it in 2024, and it just didn't quite make the cut. So, I want to make sure that I prioritize it going into next year and that I actually read it. Another 2024 release that I just didn't have time to get to that I really am excited about is Throne of Secrets by Kerri Maniscalco, and this is the second book in the Princess of Sin series. And although these are standalones, I'm reading them in order because that's what I just want to do. And in this one, we are following, is it Gluttony? Yes, we're following Prince Gluttony, and the tagline says, "Two rivals torn apart by a dark memory reunite on a deadly hunt in an irresistibly twisted fairy tale." And yeah, we have a wicked prince determined to save his kingdom, a reporter hell-bent on finding the truth, and a dangerous rivalry. So yes, I'm really excited about this one. I loved the first book, Throne of Secrets, and no, the first book is named Throne of the Fallen. And so I'm really excited to dive into this one because we've been getting peeks at Gluttony and what's her name? Amina? What's her name? No, Adriana. Y'all, I'm so awful with names. But yeah, we've been getting peeks of Gluttony and Adriana in other books. And so I'm really ready to read their story and see what happens. Also, I think these Barnes and Noble editions of these series are just beautiful. And yeah. Next up is a 2025 release, and that is Homegrown Magic by Jamie Pacton and Rebecca Podos. And this is a delightfully queer romantic fantasy full of friends to lovers chemistry, found family, rival, family drama, and cozy garden magic. And yeah, this just looks really cute and sounds like it's up my alley. It's like a cozy fantasy with a little bit of mystery in it, and that sounds like it's my thing. Next up, we have a book that has again been on my TBR for a really long time, and I just need to go ahead and read it. and that is Advika and the Hollywood Wives by Kirthana Ramisetti. And this is like a lit fic type situation, and we're following 26-year-old Advika, who considers herself a fellow screenwriter to pay bills and keep her mind off the recent death of her twin sister. She's been bartending at A-list events, including the 2015 Governor's Ball, which is the official after party of the Oscars. And there, in a cinematic dream come true, she meets the legendary Julian, who is a film producer, and he is fresh off of his fifth Best Picture win. Despite their 41-year age difference, Advika falls helplessly under his spell, and their evening flirtation ignites into a whirlwind courtship and elopement. She is enthralled by Julian's charm and luxurious lifestyle, but while Julian loves to talk about his famous friends and achievements, he smoothly changes the subject whenever his previous relationships come up. Then, less than a month into their marriage, Julian's first wife dies and made a shocking stipulation in her will. A single film reel and $1 million will be bequeathed to Julian's latest child bride on one condition: Advika must divorce him first. So, this is giving drama. This is giving, I don't know. But when I read this and I saw it on Book of the Month, I just thought that it was going to be really interesting. And, sometimes I like to dip in and out of literary fiction. And yeah. So I think this one will be interesting, to say the least. Then we have Rise of a Dark Throne, and this is by Ligia and Cushman. Sorry about that. And it is a fantasy romance. It says, when Soleil awakens from the darkness, a terrifying plague that killed her family, she is left with the one thing she never wanted: magic. She soon discovers that this rare power, thought to be long lost, has the ability to save the world. The tyrant king of Sundom summons her to serve his own purpose, setting her on an incredibly perilous journey. Soleil soon finds herself navigating a dark web of politics, alluring power, desire, and great evil. Rivian has had his life all planned out. As the high-born second prince of Sundom, he could never be the heir to the throne. Instead, he would lead the Sundom guards, and when his brother became king, he would be part of his high council. Rivian would secure alliances by being mated to Selah, who is the fairest and fiercest woman in Sundom. But when his cruel father becomes infected with the darkness, Rivian is sent on a journey to retrieve the first mage in generations. Meeting Soleil changed everything. Will they be the future of Transia, or will they burn it all down? Yes, please. Next up is a YA fantasy series, and that is This Woven Kingdom by Tahereh Mafi. And this has been making its rounds, and I've had it on my TBR, but I know it's going to be 5 books in the series, and we currently only have 3. So I didn't want to get into it and then be waiting, because I don't like that. But seeing as the 4th book is supposed to be coming out this year, I feel like it is time for me to start my journey with this. I have heard nothing but great things about it, and I'm really excited. It says that this woven kingdom is a story of clashing empires, forbidden romance, and a long forgotten queen who must claw her way through darkness to reclaim her throne, rebuild her kingdom, and save her people from the half-lives they've been forced to live. Yes. If I could close it. Yes. This book also falls in the category of has been on my TBR for far too long, and I need to go ahead and read it. And that is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. And this is a queer sci-fi where we follow Rosemary, who joins the crew of the Wayfarer, and the patched up ship has seen better days, but it offers her everything she could possibly want: a spot to call home, a chance to explore the far off corners of the galaxy, and some distance from her past. And nothing could be further from what she's known than the crew of the Wayfarer. The journey through the galaxy is full of excitement, adventure, and mishaps for the Wayfarer team. And along the way, Rosemary comes to realize that a crew is a family, and that family isn't necessarily the worst thing in the universe, as long as you actually like them. So yeah, this sounds like it's definitely gonna be a cute found family queer sci-fi situation, kind of on the cozier side, I think. And it's time for me to finally pick this up. Next up, we have The Principle of Moments by Esme Jekiemi-Pearson, and this is a YI What? This is a YA sci-fi fantasy type book and says it's a love letter to black readers of science fantasy. In 6066, in Emperor Thracian's brave new galaxy, humans are not citizens but indentured laborers working to repay the debt they unwittingly incurred when they settled on Gyran? Y'all, these names are eating me up, okay? Which is a desert planet already owned by the Emperor himself. Asha knows she's just another voiceless cog working the assembly lines that fuel his vast imperial war machine. Her only rebellion, studying stolen aeronautics manuals in the dead of night. But then a cloaked stranger arrives to deliver an impossible message, and her life changes in an instant. And in 1812, we follow Obi, who is done with time traveling. Never mind the fact that he doesn't know how to cure himself of the temporal sickness he caught whilst anchoring his soul in Regency London, the one that unmakes him further with every jump, or if the prince he loves will ever love him back, or why his father disappeared. He is done until he hears of the ghost of a girl in the British Museum, a girl from another time. When Obi's path tangles with Asha's and a prophecy awakes in the cold darkness of space, they must voyage through the stars, racing against time, tyranny, and the legacy of three heroes from an ancient religion who may be awakening, reincarnated in ways beyond comprehension. And I didn't know that this was queer. Okay, that's cute. Here for it. Next is Blood Moon by Brittany S. Lewis. And it's a dark and thrilling, intensely romantic ride, a fresh take on a werewolf love story for a new generation of paranormal romance readers, and it's the first book in a series. It is set against a high-stakes paranormal backdrop in a world ripe with secret identities, rich supernatural lore, and a forbidden romance that comes with a deadly bite. And this author I follow on TikTok, and she mentioned that this is A, for people who were Team Jacob from the Twilight series, and B, the story of Bonnie Bennett from the Vampire Diaries, and if she got an actual, and so, yeah, I'm really excited about that because we all know that Bonnie was one of the best and worst treated characters on the Vampire Diaries. So I love a redemption story for her. So I'm really interested to see what this is going to be. And yeah, then we have Mickey Chambers Shakes It Up, and this is by Charish Reid. And this follows Mickey, who is an expert at analyzing modern literature, but when it comes to her own story, she's a little lost. She is an adjunct professor and teaches summer classes and has too many medical bills courtesy of her chronic illness. So she decides to pick up a bartending gig at Diego's bar. And of course, he's this grumpy man who also turns out to be one of her students. So they are trying to balance this relationship as Mickey brings in ideas to make the bar better and, probably a little relationship or something. It sounds cute though. So, yeah. Next up, we have Silver Under Nightfall by Ren Chupeco, and this is another queer story, but it's a vampire story as well. And it says full of court intrigue, queer romance, and terrifying monsters. And this is for fans of The Priory of the Orange Tree and the adult animated series Castlevania, which I have never watched or read those, so I can't tell you if that's true or not. We follow Remy, who is the only son of the Duke of Valenbon, though his father might wish otherwise, an elite bounty hunter of rogue vampires, and an outcast among his fellow reapers. His mother was the subject of gossip even before she eloped with the vampire, giving rise to the rumors that Remy is half vampire himself. Though the kingdom of Illyria barely tolerates him, Remy's father has been shaping him into a weapon to fight for the kingdom at any cost. But when a terrifying new breed of vampire is sighted outside the city, Remy prepares to investigate alone. But then he encounters the shockingly warm-hearted vampire heiress, Zioden, and her fiance, vampire lord Zidon, who may hold the key to defeating the creatures, though Remy knows associating with them won't do his reputation any favors. But as the three face dangerous hardships during their journey, Remy develops fond and complicated feelings for the couple. He begins to question what he holds true about vampires, as well as the story behind his own family legacy. And so, yeah, Remy must decide where his loyalties lie, with his father and the kingdom he's been trained all his life to defend, or the vampires who might just be the death of him. Polyamorous vampires? Immediately. Yes. Immediately. Yes. We are almost there, y'all. Thank you for trucking along with me on this. This has been a journey, okay? For sure. Next, we have Where Shadows Meet, and this is by Patrice Caldwell. It is a 2025 release, and this is a dark and thrillingly romantic vampire fantasy that questions what it truly means to sacrifice for love. And this is set in the aftermath of a war between vampires, humans, and the gods that created them. So this is also a sapphic fantasy romance. I think it's YA, but it might not be. I'm not really sure about that. Next up, we have The Songbird and the Heart of Stone by Carissa Broadbent. This is the third book in the Crowns of Nyaxia, but the first book of the Shadowborn duet. In the descent to the underworld, a bride of the sun must choose between the light of her redemption or a dark love that defies the gods themselves. And this is following Misha, who we met in the first duet. And I don't really want to know much more about it. So, yeah, that's all I can tell you. And yeah. Next up, we have The Jasad Heir by Sarah Hashim. And this is an unmissable tale of shattered kingdoms, forbidden magic, and cunning royals that unfolds in this Egyptian-inspired epic fantasy. 10 years ago, the kingdom of Jasad burned, its magic was outlawed, its royal family murdered. At least that's what Sylvia wants people to believe. The heir of Jasad escaped the massacre, and she intends to stay hidden, especially from the armies of Nazile that continued to hunt her people. But a moment of anger changes everything. When Aaron, the Nazile heir, tracks a group of Jasadi rebels to her village, Sylvia accidentally reveals her magic and captures his attention. Now Sylvia is forced to make a deal with her greatest enemy, help him hunt the rebels in exchange for her life. A deadly game begins. Sylvia can't let Aaron discover her identity, even as hatred shifts into something more between the heirs. And as the tides change around her, Sylvia will have to choose between the life she wants and the one she abandoned. This sounds so good, and she's a little intimidating, but I'm going to push through and read this in 2025 because I feel like I will really enjoy it. And the last book is The Final Strife by Saara El-Arifi. And I started this book in 2024, but I was just not in a good headspace for it. So I had to sit it down. But I really want to read the series and I was really enjoying it. So I plan to pick it up and finish it in 2025. In this first book of a visionary fantasy trilogy with its roots in the mythology of Africa and Arabia, three women band together against a cruel empire that divides people by blood. Red is the blood of the elite, of magic, of control. Blue is the blood of the poor, of workers, of the resistance. And clear is the blood of the slaves, of the crushed, of the invisible. So we follow a girl from each of these. And yeah. I don't want to say too much because I don't really want to spoil it. But yeah, we follow a girl from each of the types of bloods, and there, of course, as you heard, is a rebellion going on. And yeah, this was really good, and I think this is also sapphic as well. So yeah, I'm ready to pick these up. I love the covers of these books. They're just some of the most beautiful covers I've ever seen. So I have to read them so I can have them on my shelves, right? Right. And with that, we have made it to the end of this video. Those are the books that I am prioritizing for 2025. I'm hoping that I can make my way through all of them, but you'll just have to follow along to see what happens. And yes, thank you so much for staying to the end of this video, for watching, for subscribing, for liking and commenting, all the things that you do to support me and my channel. And I hope that you have the best day that you possibly can, as well as the best holiday season that you can, no matter what you celebrate. And yeah, I will catch you in the next one. Bye.